Earth's climate has gone through a lot of changes, but these changes have increased exponentially over the past few years. So today me, Mishkat and Dilip will tell about how these changes have affected different spheres of life and what we can do on our part so that this change decreases. According to NASA, Earth's average temperature has increased by 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, it does not sound a big number, but it has serious consequences. Like it has decreased the snow cover, also, it has increased the sea levels, and all of that has serious consequences. Increase in the global temperature is causing increased temperature of the oceans. Warming of oceans occurs because it absorbs all the carbon dioxide that's in the air, which is a result of the greenhouse effect. And that in turn leads to the effect on the marine life. Glacial retreats are a direct evidence of climate change that we have witnessed over the past years. Well, as the global temperature rises as a result of increased emissions by humans, we have seen that the polar ice caps and the glaciers which they used to be in during the ice age have retreated from their normal positions to new ones. Climate change has led to increase in global temperature, which affects the ecological system as there is habitat loss and the species have to cope up with it. So they resort to migrating. And at the rate at which the climate is changing and the migrational capabilities might not match. Declining Arctic sea ice is a sobering evidence of rapidly happening climate change, as when the Arctic sea ice converts to water, it can further lead to increase in global temperatures as the water will reflect back less solar radiation as compared to ice and will also contribute to increasing sea levels. Oceanic acidification happens when the greenhouse gas, primarily carbon dioxide in the air, combines with water of the ocean and it makes the acid and which in turn makes the ocean water acidic. It is very detrimental to the marine life and the ecosystem and can further affect the human food security too.
Extreme events. Extreme events are the natural calamities that are aggressively destroying the environment due to change in the climate, which is, however, due to pollution. Some events like hurricane, volcanic eruption, floods, droughts, etc., are affecting the Earth's habitat at an extreme level of destruction. Moving on to political frameworks, the Paris Agreement. It was the agreement within the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Its purpose was to strengthen the global response to threat the climate change by keeping the required global temperature. Looking on to the second political framework, we have the European Union, which has European Green Deal. It is a political and economic union of 27 member states in Europe. Their aim is to make Europe's economy a sustainable economy. It takes measures to prevent and preserve Europeans' natural environment. Moving on to contraction and convergence, this concept formulates international agreements on greenhouse gas reduction to protect the environment changes that are happening due to pollution. CAP and convergence was also proposed as a replacement to Kyoto Agreement. So now we look upon the measures that were taken. First one is use of sustainable transport. Using sustainable transport affects the environment and the climate change in a very positive way. It decreases the amount of gas emission, which leads to the reduced amount of pollution rates. But it also has a downside that when the enormous amount of green gas is produced from hundreds of cars, it also has a tendency to destroy the environment. The second one we look upon is the afforestation. Afforestation absorbs the carbon and the other gases that are present in the atmosphere. It helps to improve the quality of environment, reducing the pollution. Planting more and more trees have positive and direct effect on the climate change and its effects.
Conserve water and energy resources. Water and energy are two precious dependent necessities. If we conserve water, that improves our energy efficiency and reduces our carbon emission, which contributes to greenhouse gases and leads to climate change. So we can use our natural resources more responsibly and conserve those for our future generations to lead a quality life. Practice sustainability's 3R: reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce, consume less more efficiently. Reuse, take advantage of second-hand markets to give new life to items that you don't use anymore, or find something that someone else has gotten rid of that you need. Recycle, we can save over 730 kilos of CO2 each year just by recycling half of the garbage produced at home. Support the use of renewable energies. Renewable energy is one of the most effective tools we have in the fight against climate change. It plays an important role in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. When renewable energy sources are used, the demand for fossil fuels is reduced. Their fuel being derived from natural and available resources reduces the cost of operation. Get active and vote. As an individual, we can contribute towards climate change by walking, cycling, or taking eco-friendly transit, by carpooling, by reducing food waste, using less energy at home, and voting for legislation and politicians that aid against the detrimental effect of climate change. Educate people. Solving climate change requires us all to work together. Since people often trust peers, family members, and loved ones more than they trust experts, scientists, and environmental organizations, we can talk to people about climate change in ways others can. So it's our responsibility to educate people around us. Climate change activists' role of youth. Research on the role of youth participants, those aged 16 to 24 years at UN climate negotiations, has revealed that adults perceive these activists as having greater moral integrity than others attending their talks because they are not being paid to be there. But when today's youth leaders grow up, a new cohort of climate campaigners might be ready to rise. Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg, a teenage activist from Sweden who has become the face of the youth climate movement. In the summer of 2018, Thunberg started sitting outside the Swedish parliament every Friday as part of a climate strike. She has launched a Friday for Future movement. On September 20, 2019, Thunberg led the largest climate strike in the history.